Let's get back in the dungeon.
Okay.
All
We're
right.
gonna talk about dogs later.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
The goblin, a little bit of time passes, which I'm going to increase. Oh, look, that actually worked too. We're going to move the darkness up to 7. So, anytime the darkness is higher than the number of players, things are dangerous. If the darkness is twice the level of the players, something has to happen. Okay? Just gonna point that out.
What is that something? Do we know?
No, I mean it could be a lot of things. It needs to be a dramatic moment, right? And and that action is going to spend some amount of the darkness.
Okay.
So, and if you think about it, like spending an amount of darkness equal to the number of players creates a challenge that the players should be able to handle.
Okay.
Spending as much as twice the amount is something that the player shouldn't be able to handle.
Sure.
Yeah, so we're working on some things around the OSR emulation and hopefully at the end of it, maybe even Black Hack and Dungeon World, like, hey, here's your stat block, here's how you translate that. But the idea is this is creating an obstacle of a type, right? So.
Nice.
Cool.
So, the reason I put that forward is some time has passed and you have not been attacked by any of the goblins. And you've gotten and the goblin that you splinted his leg wakes up.
Yes, I would like to talk to Goblin Friend.
Let us open a Socratic dialogue with him.
Yeah. I am going to attempt to speak to him in Broken Goblin. Like my goblin's not great, but like it's passable.
Which anything that's not a goblin speaking to a goblin in Goblin sounds like Great Goblin to a goblin.
Yeah.
That was a perfectly parsable sentence, as ridiculous as it would have looked at if it had been written down.
I'm just going to look at the goblin, I'm going to point at his leg, and then I'm going to point at myself, and I'm going to be like, be friend now. But my inflection is like totally off, so it's...
I break this now. No, fix. I fixed it.
Fix
I don't know.
now, friends.
But breaking isn't off the table.
The goblin says to you that they've been guarding this shrine for the last few years, and they found there was a shaking and it knocked a hole into a cave, and since then. They've been afraid for their lives because of the Dro-guitar.
The Dro-guitar.
That's the name that we were given, right?
Yeah, the Dro-guitar, which the way it's being said, like you were told that was the name of this place, but the way this goblin is saying it sounds like a word that you don't know in Goblin.
Well, you are way more forthcoming with information than I expected. So I'm gonna put my daggers away, because I have no reason. And then I'm going to, point at the altar, and I'm going to say, "You altar?"
He gets real scared.
Not you altar.
Obviously, he calms down a little bit, realizing.
And then I'm going to point to the dead goblin, and I'm going to say, "They altar?"
He shakes his head and he looks at Noxon as he's doing that. He's like, no, don't, no.
What altar?
My altar.
I think that we should ask what this fellow would sacrifice on the altar if he were going to.
Noxon.
I translate that poorly.
You've been listening to Yurt talking bad goblin this whole time. You're a necromancer. You're a highly educated person. You speak goblin fine. It's a perfectly normal language. Why this elf keeps being like, you altar? You're like, why don't you just ask him? You feel that you can have a perfectly normal conversation with this goblin.
She had a minor in goblin poetry at the Wizard Academy.
The imagery is really evocative. You'd be surprised.
As long as you get the nuance.
Yeah. I'm going to say, are you guarding this altar because it is sacred or because it is dangerous?
Oh, that the shrine is to this fountain. This is a place of cleaning and rebirth for goblins. That shrine's a trap. That altar.
Oh.
Anything you put on it'll burn to a crisp.
Oh, that makes sense.
I'm gonna go back around because today has just been people doing things better than me when I try and do them first. So I'm just gonna fade back into.
I double majored in necromancy and one-upmanship.
Yeah. Hey, it hasn't been just you. Cavendish fucking cut a billion goblins to pieces for no reason, so I don't even know why I'm here anymore.
An arm stretches off of my torso and pats you consolingly on the
You grow a shoulder that I can cry on.
Yeah, I think
Can you grow a shoulder I can cry on? That being said, the goblin says that there is some kind of beast, the Dro-guitar, that is down in those caves, and it's been since the hole in the wall. Other adventurers have come down trying to slay it. The Duke put out a reward for anyone that brought it back.
But were any of them as cool as us?
They're all dead. So.
Oh, so no.
And apparently so are all of the goblins that were here.
So are all of what you cut off there, Chris?
Yeah.
So are all of the goblins.
Oh, yeah.
Except for that one.
Yeah, I could make them undead, but I couldn't really bring them back to life. It's not really my thing.
It's very hard to it's hard to put it into goblin. It's a tenses thing.
Well, is the Dro-guitar just down that hallway there? And I point to the west door towards the cave.
Yeah, through the cave.
Cool. All right, well, that's what we came here to do. So you've been very helpful. If you ever consider donating your remains to a higher cause, let me know.
Do you have like a card? Is it
Yeah,
like a photo release?
Yeah.
Just make sure you mark organ donor on your driver's license.
Yeah, no, it's like a little scrap of parchment with like a wax seal of Noxon Nightblood. Like, oh, if this is on your body, then
I know what it is. It's a little card. It's black. It's got some like silver trimming, and there's a wax seal on it. But if you remove the seal, there's a small pin underneath. And you prick your finger. Sign your remains away to me.
Nice.
At night, Noxon goes out looking for. Oh, I have a pickup to make.
Yeah.
4 business cards.
Yeah.
They're rogue Amazon drivers.
Yeah, entrepreneurial young necromancer.
There's definitely something, and we should come back to this at another time, in a game about being the fantasy universe equivalent of Amazon drivers. Like, instead of going into a dungeon to like slay monsters and get a thing, your job is to go dangerous places to drop off the thing that the adventurers need.
and to run away before they know you were there.
Yeah. I mean, the important part, the important part is to get back out, right?
How do you think those treasure chests get stocked? Where do you think those treasures come from?
Treasures just don't fall off trees. You gotta order them.
Blue collar magical adventurers like us. All right, let's go kill this dragon thing. Who's gonna be better than me at killing a dragon?
I mean, me.
Oh
Probably.
yeah, I guess that's true.
I guess one more question for the goblin. Why were they arguing in the caves if the Dro-guitar was in the caves?
I'll translate.
It says that they had found a bunch of treasure on the last group of adventurers that came through here.
And they were fighting about that?
Yeah, they were hiding in the room, and one of the goblin brothers got killed. The other ones managed to hide in a secret door in the secret room. And then when enough time had gone, they had gone out to find them, and they were left, and they had left back a lot of loot. The goblin says something a word that you don't understand. And he's like, a bunch of loot, goblin, untranslatable goblin word.
Excuse me? What was that?
He just keeps saying the word. He doesn't know how to translate it.
I don't know what that means.
It's je ne sais quoi.
You almost get the impression that it would be like someone being like, oh, you know what? Like, this tastes like a thing. And you're like, I don't know what that thing is.
Yeah.
And you're like, what kind of thing is that? And you're like, I don't know.
Person, place, or thing.
We start a rousing game of charades.
Yeah.
It's nothing to get. It's that the only way he knows to describe the thing is with that word.
All right. Well, it looks like we're just gonna have to learn by doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we ask him to describe what the layout of the place is, so we're not just walking into a cave?
Yes. And we'll actually lower the darkness with that information.
Nice.
Yeah, you got a pretty good layout idea, and the idea is that there's kind of the cave. The cave is a natural thing, and it looks like there was when there was that break. The earth shook and it opened a wall. So there's a long winding corridor, and it branches in one to the east and one to the west. And the one to the east is there's a whole lot of bones there, and that's where the untranslatable goblin word loot was, with the bandits, with the adventurers. And the other way, across the high bridge, is where the Dro-guitar can be found.
Okay, so we definitely, this is between us. We definitely go kill the thing, and then we get the loot and whatever else the goblin is talking about, right?
Seems like a reasonable plan to me.
Yes.
Wouldn't
Capital.
want that Dro-guitar sneaking up behind us.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking.
So are you going to go back to the original marching order?
That seems right.
All right. So, Cersei, you are leading the way through. I need you to make a books roll, but you are a hunter, so it's going to be advantage. So I'm going to roll 2d6 for you. And you rolled a 1 and a 3, so the 3 is a hit, and the 1 is you're the hunter, so that's also a hit, so it is a crit. You very clearly can see the path that these it looks like a group of like in the dust coming out of that first room. It definitely looks like human boots, but then you can see that it's been run all over by the goblins. And as you're going, you can see where it leads into a larger room. And then there are also tracks that lead towards where the Dro-guitar was. So
we should. I'm going to present this information and say I think we should head towards the Dro-guitar.
Capital idea.
So as you go through, the cave chamber is very large with high ceilings and many stalactites. A natural rock bridge spans a deep chasm, and the sound of dripping water echoes through the chamber. The rock bridge connects to a large flat area where some kind of creature can be seen moving in the dim light. It stops moving suddenly, and a haunting growl echoes through the chamber. You have never seen anything like it. Cersei. Or both of you with your knowledge of nature and your hunter experience.
Yeah.
It looks, it kind of looks like if you were like, hey, what does a giant herbivorous octopus look like if it lived in a cave?
Okay.
And it's also kind of covered in, like, porcupine-y hair.
Yuck.
What would it look like if God panicked and made a mistake?
Alright, I'm gonna...
Yo, man, you know what? Give it 8 arms. But don't give it any hands. Just let's,
Nope.
All it needs is arms. I am going to ask you, the maze controller,
yes.
a question
Yes.
that may be ridiculous, but think about it.
Think about it.
What does it take to tame a big animal?
So, as a hunter, might be something that you could try to do. It would require a lot of work, for the taming perspective. From a game perspective, something like that is after a character has shown up a couple of times, you have the opportunity to be like, I'm going to add another edge. So really from a game perspective, it would be like, oh, I'm going to take my advance as an edge, and I'm going to take this creature as a retainer or a familiar, depending on the situation. I mean, now, if the other side of the question is, hey, that's a really weird thing, is there a way for us to attack it without trying to kill it?
Yes.
The answer is, I don't know. You don't even know what it is. Again, it looks like a porcupine, hairy octopus that lives in a cave.
So I think that perhaps Noxon didn't know jack about goblin religions because Noxon was forbidden research on Dro-guitar. So he did have that as a keyword.
Let's
get a little library perusing.
Let's pop it up. All right. Yeah, you would when Cavendish came to you and told you that you were going to go after this Dro-guitar, you went to the you went to the
local center of forbidden arcane knowledge. I know.
Yeah. And it's not. I mean, it's not like a
library
next to the pink berry.
I have like 3/4 of a book written about Tabriz, the evil arch warlock, about how he got kicked out of school, and he had a yellow slime named Mustard, and but basically that's it. Like he tries to get a job, at a yogurt store. That's literally part of that. So the idea of it being next to the evil wizard's academy, gets me right here.
Just forbidden.
Yes. It takes you a while. You actually spend a lot of time trying to find it because the thing is the Dro-guitar, and the reason that region was called that is because a long time ago, when this area was being mined, miners kept going missing, whereas the people that were looking for the miners didn't. It would be like, oh, we're going to go mining. And then it would be like, miners never come back. Oh, we're going to go look for the miners. And then finally they found that these creatures, which they named after the area, the Dro-guitar mines, are strange creatures filled with stone magic, and they literally eat metal. So they're like completely immune to anything metal.
I see. That makes much more sense.
Wooden door handles.
And now, in retrospect, you're thinking about the fact that the goblin word that you couldn't translate means, like, they had all of this stuff that wasn't metal.
Makes so much sense now.
So, like, their treasure of whatever they're talking about, you think is probably something the goblins would be interested in that isn't made of metal.
So it's food.
Don't use metal, or you're gonna lose it. This thing eats metal. I looked it up last night.
Oh, very smart of
Wikipedia
you.
is very reliable.
Wikipedia.
The lore master, Wikipedia, lives at the center of arcade knowledge.
Ah, Lord Wikipedia, Archmage of these fairies. The problem with Lord Wikipedia is that you can't trust anything he says.
Yeah.
And like every couple of months, he's asking for like just $2.
But if you go to
All he wants is
Wikipedia,
$2.
if you go to Lord Wikipedia and you ask him where he got his information, those books are usually reliable.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
Those books are usually pretty good.
Yes, the Council of Sources, phenomenal. But Lord Wikipedia's encyclopedium, it's definitely difficult.
But, you know, he makes himself accessible. Is really, like, the Council of Sources is really hard to get an audience with, but Lord Wikipedia is always there.
He's always there. He's always
He's
there.
always there.
Hey, so you are standing and you're looking at across this like thin stone bridge, and then it's above a very deep drop. Like when you're hearing the water drop, it's very, very deep. And it's kind of like an island of stone in that hole, which is where the Dro-guitar is. And I'm going to spend all of this darkness.
All of it?
All of it.
Can
Or
I do
I'm going to spend 6 of it.
Can I do a thing really quickly? Actually, it might be, we might be able to do it after we get started. But fighting this thing here is gonna like suck a bunch. I think we should try and fight it in the big giant room.
Right, so you're standing at the edge of this. You haven't gone across this bridge towards the Dro-guitar.
I am insinuating that we don't, and we go back up to the room.
So you hear, as you're having that deliberation, you hear heavy pounding of feet, and a group of you hear it sounds like the marching of soldiers, and they are coming up the hallway.
Like where we came from?
Yes.
So, as a hunter, I would probably recognize if this were people or goblins, right?
Oh, these are definitely people. It
Like
is
human peoples.
yeah. It's too regimented.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Spencer. This seems like your jam. Do you want to go find out what they're here for? And just as an aside, if they're here for murder of like us,
hey, would you say that you are here for murder?
Sub question.
yeah, like give me the signal whatever that is, and we can make a giant octopus porcupine solve our problems. How do we feel about this plan?
Well, is this gonna get in the way of what Chris was spending darkness on, or is...
I'm spending the darkness on these soldiers that are coming down the other direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm assuming they're bad and evil, but that's metagaming, and I want you to go check first.
All right, then I guess I will walk towards the mouth of the cave, and get ready to flash my prettiest smile, and try to like.
So you go, and as you go, so since you have rank and that's your key ability, and you are a noble, you obviously recognize these soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
They are wearing the black tabards of your house's sworn enemy, the Netherwoods. The black tabards with a tree on them, and you can see that they are wearing heavy leather armor, leather gauntlets, and they all have staves. One of them has a net, and they look like they're either quarterstaffs or they're like stout flails, wooden flails.
Yeah. So these guys have come with the knowledge. Okay.
Yeah, so this is all very good for us.
But what do you want to say? What do you want to do?
I am going to say, well. If it isn't the Netherwoods, always second to the party.
What are you trying? What are you trying to get? What is your goal?
My intent and my goal is to basically like razz them a little bit and then take off down the corridor and try to draw them across the bridge so that we can have the Dro-guitar fight.
Oh no, we are doing the opposite thing.
I love it. Hey, give me a it is super you know exactly the right things to like get under their skin, right?
Yeah.
And the one guy is like the Margrave of Netherwood. It's his son. We'll call him Giles.
Giles.
Giles
Leatherwood.
Giles of Netherwood. He's like make sure that Cavendish doesn't survive. And so they immediately charge right after you. So you are a D4. Gonna make a boots roll.
Yep.
Which is a 4, so that's gonna hit on the boots roll. Gonna roll. So this would be an effect situation. How fast, you want to get across the bridge and get them to come with you?
Oh, I think so. Here was my plan that we probably should have talked about before this started. Was like the thing that I was gonna do was I was going to use all of the metal that I've been scavenging, hoping to give back to whoever lost it, and just lure this thing back across the bridge, and then we can go hide in the hidden room where all of this dude's goblin's friend came from, while these two duke it out, and then we don't have to do anything.
So, I mean, I think that still works if I'm leading them down towards the
yeah, just don't go across the bridge and we're fine.
Except that, you didn't think about that. So no. Lord Cavendish goes tearing across the bridge. Ha ha!
No. At the moment where the monster would, at the point of no return for the Netherwoods men, can I cloak Spencer in darkness?
Oh, I love it. Spend a crown.
Yep, my only one. All for you, buddy.
So you spend a crown to weave a cloak of darkness around Lord Cavendish, and he fades from sight. And the the Netherwood men, all of them turn towards the Dro-guitar, which as it spins around, it's making some really, this is just a really strange creature. It's flailing at it because usually when it's getting attacked like this, it knows what it's doing, but the fact that they don't have any metal, it's definitely tying them up. But Giles of Netherwood is, where are you, Cavendish? You coward. He's behind his men.
He calls me chicken.
Yurt and Cersei,
Yeah.
when the men were running by, what were you doing? I'm assuming that Noxon is wrapped in the shadows as she was casting the spell anyway, so that seems...
I mean, as soon as she starts casting shadows, like, I don't need you to say anything. I'm gonna, like, lay down on the floor and try and look invisible.
Right, you're gonna hide? What about you, Cersei?
So I'm guessing that this Dro-guitar came up out of the water on the other side.
It definitely, you would assume that it's coming up from this pit that this piece is over, yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming from like a lower layer, a lower area.
And do its tentacles look like it could climb well?
It looks like it might be able to climb, so it instead of being like suckers on tentacles, it's like almost like quills. So it might actually be able to climb like Spike and Pitten,
Okay. Well,
it's a weird creature evolved for this weird space.
I'm gonna use some of my many arms, and I am focused on trying to get that Dro-guitar back into the water over like the cliff.
So you're gonna go over.
Like I wanna use a projectile to knock that thing down.
Okay.
Back where it came from.
Wait, no, that's how we're gonna kill all of these guys.
You're gonna hide. You're the D8, so we're gonna roll a D8 for Yurt. On a boots, you got an 8. So, do you have a crown to spend?
Me?
No, Yurt.
Yep.
I do have a crown to spend.
Would you like to spend that crown in order to hide? Because otherwise, you are going to be noticed.
I don't love it, but sure.
I mean, you have the option. I mean,
I would rather spend the crown than the alternative.
all right, so you spend a crown to do that, which is all of your crowns, right?
Yep, I have 0 crowns left.
No, I mean you could get them back. You can take it. Just remember that.
Yeah.
And Cersei, you're standing there, and you are trying. Are you trying to knock it in off the piece, or are you trying to lure it with metal?
I was trying to knock it off the piece because this to me looks like an awesome rare creature that we should probably protect. Like, obviously it's causing trouble, but like,
All right, so I'm going to make this a blades check, but because what you're doing, I'm going to give you advantage because you are well armed and prepared for this kind of ridiculously. So you rolled a 5 and a 6, which are both blades hit, so it's going to be a crit. As was established in backstory earlier, you do have a large net. So you you use that to throw it over and pull it. So as these as the Netherwoods men are attacking it with quarterstaffs, it pushes up against the side, and you kind of pull it off, and it scrambles and it scambles. You see it climb quickly down the side of this piece into the darkness.
Okay.
The Giles of Netherwood spins around and points his cudgel at you and says Damn it, you. You Cavendish swine. We came here to fell that beast. What are you doing?
That's our beast to fell.
All right. What is everybody doing?
So, I'm cloaked in darkness.
You are cloaked in darkness. You are cloaked in darkness on the like stone island. Cersei is like at the edge of that island. Yurt is hiding on the other side of the bridge. Behind his rhino that looks like a rock here.
It looks like moss.
Yeah.
Noxon is also on that side of the bridge. I'm assuming just standing there, but standing very quietly as the shadows, fill around.
Yeah, just creepy sibilant whispers wrapping around me, etc., etc.
Nice.
As per usual.
Yeah.
Darkness, 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 darkness.
All right. So.
All right. So I'm gonna sort of lean down to Yurt next to me and say, what exactly are we trying to achieve here?
I don't know. My plan got royally messed up. I don't even know what we're doing anymore.
I believe it got dukely messed up.
It did. Hey, the Duke didn't do anything. It was the hunter this time. I had a plan.
We're supposed to make the area safe from the beast.
Yeah, but
Pit.
do you know what's way easier than killing a regiment of dudes and killing a beast? Killing a beast after it's killed a regiment of dudes.
That's
Look.
true.
I thought that we needed some evidence of this beast to get paid with.
Cersei, you are not involved in this conversation.
Yeah.
You are face to face with a dude with a big stick who's advancing on you.
So I have an idea. Why don't you tell them to come back here, and I'll just make the men run away from our allies, so that we can regroup and maybe come up with a better plan.
Yeah, that seems a-okay.
Great. I'm going to switch to fear magic and make people deathly afraid of my allies.
Before you do that,
Mm-hmm.
now you don't have any crowns because you already spent one, right?
I do not have any crowns.
But you can take a condition.
I would love to take it.
So you can take stress. And with you being stressed, you lose your class bonus.
Okay.
So rolling ones doesn't help you. And you are disadvantaged on books rolls. But as soon as you have a chance, you could clear that via sleep, indulging in a vice, or by activating your bond. So you could do something about, saving Lord Cavendish, because that would make you feel less freaked out.
Less contractually obligated.
Let's get contractually obligated. He says in the name, in the style of Darkwing Duck. And so now you get your crown back, so you'll be able to do this fear spell, but you're not going to be able to do that until after Cersei figures out what she's doing with, against this noble with a big stick. And what is Cavendish doing? What are you doing?
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to loudly say, "You idiots have brought cudgels to a knife fight." and I freaking unsheath slam jam dream.
So you brought cudgels to a knife fight, says the shadows, and you release your dancing sword into their midst. Cersei.
Dance.
So, the dancing sword is attacking the soldiers, right?
Do you have it attacking the soldiers, or do you have it attacking Giles of Netherwood?
I think I'm going to have it going for. We'll have it go for Giles.
Okay.
It's a duel.
So it's going out. Well played.
It's
going after the noble, Cersei.
Okay, so I would like to encourage these other duders to leave. Like, we got this. This is our job. You guys scram.
All right, so you're being threatened. The sword comes out with a quip from Lord Cavendish. Noxon, you summon up the power inherent in dark magic, of night magic, of fear, to make this seem crazier than it already is. Less. You're going from PG-13 to hard R. Like, that's basically like the slasher movie advance here. So, Cavendish, you're gonna give me a blades roll, but since this is technically dueling, I'll give you advantage on it. I think it's a fascinating point. And
technically dueling.
You rolled a 1 and a 3, so I'll give you the noble on it. So it does. Yeah. So you're now like you're carving up his wooden truncheon with your enchanted dope sword. The soldiers are as in their mind, Cersei is now like, be gone from this place. This is our beast. Right, and she looks like, coming from another plane. There's a sword that comes out of the darkness that's, attacking their master. So they're all huddled together, and they're like trying to get back onto the bridge. The problem is, Cersei's near there, so they're kind of getting around it. Give me a bones roll, Noxon.
Okay.
Which is going to be a D10. You're the D10. About if the if the effect is pulled onto the noble. Just rolled a 6, so it's a hit on bones. So he also feels it, and you can see that he's fighting against it. And I'm gonna spend a condition. So I'm gonna take stressed to keep him there, right? So the noble is stressed. His men are afraid. Yeah, Yurt.
Describe this bridge to me again.
So think about it like there's like you're walking down this cave, like cavern kind of thing. And then the cavern starts to open up, and like the ceiling stalactites, and then there's like parts like that like sandcastle drip thing that you see. Then this is like a flat plane on the other side, and there's this like stone bridge that you can walk like one abreast.
So and there's a bunch of soldiers on it.
And there are a bunch of soldiers trying to come across it towards you.
All right. Yeah, so I feel like here's my point. Is I'm gonna set creature as sturdy, like I'm gonna find like a creature width gap in this bridge. Creature is gonna sit there, and he's gonna be my woolly little barricade.
My woolly little barricade!
Whilst I stop these things from coming. Is Cersei on the same side as I am?
Cersei and Cavendish are on the opposite side. Noxon and Yurt are on...
Noxon, can I borrow the sharpest arm bone that you have?
Absolutely. And a hand stretches out from my torso and hands you a sword-like femur.
I'm thinking more spear-like. Can we do that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, a spear-like femur.
Rad. but one end is very sharp. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand, like, sort of crouched under creature, and I'm gonna jab at whoever comes close.
Oh yeah.
And push him off the bridge.
So the fear cyclone that they're in is now even greater because now there's a hairy, one-horned, armored beast that spears. It's surrounded in spears. Cavendish. Yeah. So give me some attack rolls. Give me some blades. You're the D8.
I'm a D8.
We're gonna do some D8s. We're gonna do 3 D8s. We got a 3, a 3, and a 6. So 2 of them managed to hold themselves from being knocked off, but one you literally just knock off completely.
Hell yeah.
And he just falls. He falls to his doom.
We're feeding our octopus friend.
Cavendish, you are the stressed out Giles sees into the darkness and finally sees you, and he's like, you and that magical blade, I'm coming for you, Cavendish. And he
has a name.
He comes running at you, like almost ignoring the blade. What do you want to do? You would expect that he's coming to try to push you off, push you off this thing.
Okay. I am going to channel my inner bullfighter, and I'm going to try to basically Aikido and swat him past me.
You are beautiful.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a beautiful maneuver, right? Like it's like dancing, right? Like so what you're gonna do? So you're gonna make a save, right? And it's gonna be boots with advantage because you're doing a beautiful dance maneuver to basically slide out from behind. I think it's amazing. So we're on 2d4 here, and we got a 2 and a 4. So the 4 is boots, so that's a hit. You have lots of crowns. If you could spend one to increase the effect.
I will spend 2 to increase the effect.
One of your edges is just like being a shitheel, right?
So you take a shitheel turn. You spend 2 crowns to.
I'm into it.
It's this beautiful thing. I mean, it's like it's like a fatality from Mortal Kombat if it was your character was like the Matador character, right? I
hold my adventuring coat out basically, and I'm positioning my body far to the right of where he thinks I will be, and
and you're still covered in shadow, right? So you're you're dancing in the light, right? In the piece, and he literally runs and he pushes through it, and the next thing he notices, he's falling through space, right? The guards that are left panic at the sound of their leader screaming, and they charge, trying to charge through where Cersei and Yurt are. So, Cersei, what are you doing as they're charging your way?
I am going to stop them from hitting me by probably shooting them. But I don't
shooting them.
Yeah, I don't really feel like killing these dudes. So
you could just get out of the way.
Yeah, I guess I'll just get out of the way, and then they'll just go over the edge.
Right. You're the D6, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean they want to get over the bridge. They're trying to get over the bridge.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's fine. I'm getting out of the way. Sorry.
So it's going to be a boots roll. You rolled a 4, so that's a hit. 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
You just get out of the way. You very clearly just get out of the way, and they keep charging. and they go into Yurt. What do you do?
To hold my spear out like a shish kebab.
Right, you're just gonna continue to. So we're gonna do again this like you're making a ton of these guys are like literally just like one skewers himself and the other two like climb over him and run back down the hallway the way that they came and scene. They're all dissipated. You can hear them. The Dro-guitar is missing. Giles is, if he's not dead, he will be soon.
Sure.
Lord Cavendish is once again completely convinced that he is the better man.
That's the only lesson I learned.
I mean, frankly, like for this outing, not far off.
So you go to the side room where the goblins, not metal treasures were, and it looks like there was a couple of sacks that were filled with scrolls and books, right? Like, so there's actually a huge amount of value here, but not the kind of things that would normally be considered treasure.
It's a shame when a traveling librarian wanders into a goblin hole.
Yeah, you know what? Now that you remember the information that you had caught, somebody at the that said that there was a delegation that was like doing research, but they were being led by an old soldier who hated goblins. So explains a lot.
Yeah.
On your way through, your friend the goblin looks like he was killed by Netherwoodsmen.
Shit.
Oh.
Which is a good place to think about it for a future perspective, because there's always an opportunity.
I swear a blood debt to my friend the goblin that I will avenge him, and then I look off into the middle distance and my troglodyte friend's face comes up behind my head as it fades off into the sunset.
I can add you as a writer to my existing blood sworn enemy chat.
Oh, sure. Like an addendum.
Do you want my blood oath password?
As an addendum. This is a blood addendum.
I'm really
so easy to do.
I am very interested in the like branch of fantasy law that specifically deals with blood pacts.
Yeah.
And like correctly writing blood law.
The idea that there needs to be a fantasy novel called Blood Law, which is actually about writing pacts correctly as warlocks.
Yeah.
So that was super fun. And hitting all of the things you're trying to do, like trying to have a complete experience in a reasonable amount of time. Obviously, if character creation wouldn't be that much faster now that you know what you're doing, but it would be slightly a little bit faster. And kind of the idea would be the next game that we would play. Maybe there's one less of this group, or there's a different person in it. How things go back and forth. But like, if Scott sits down and he's like, "Hey, you know what? I'd really like to see what Spencer Cavendish V is up to." Or Yurt says, "I want to avenge against the Netherwoods," and it makes sense. And in that situation, Heather says, "Oh, well, I'm gonna play a man-at-arms that's traveling with, and you're going to play a different character." It's super easy to make that other character. And then you're creating the series novella style where I'm adding characters, but I'm recurring to these characters, right? And in between the games, it's not about how much treasure I have. because it's all about where am I at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I am super excited to see that we got to use beautiful to really make sense in a fight. I loved the fact of I loved the skeleton army as a suit of armor. I thought that was super rad.
So
Yeah, that was
good.
awesome.
I'm super glad that a backstory piece about Cersei's weapon selection literally had an impact on the game.
Yeah.
And of course, anytime your side iron wants to, stare off into the middle distance.
Hey man, Creature is my forever companion, but he's not as smart as that troglodyte.
I do have one final question.
Yes.
Was the business card that I left with the goblin activated?
Oh.
Yeah, it had to be. It had to be. I mean, at this point,
Yeah.
Don't worry, friends never leave us forever.
Oh yeah.
I love the idea that like this creature dies and then like in the middle of its funeral, like it pops up and like just starts walking towards Noxon, like whoever takes her card, like when they die, they just like kind of like comport themselves to wherever Noxon's at.
Yeah, the idea of like, you meet like a nice old lady one time and you're having a conversation. She's like, well, that sounds interesting. I'd be into that. I like to help the sciences. And then like at her funeral, like she steps up out of the, her family's like putting her in the grave and she steps up and she's like, walks away. Like,
And she's just like, gotta go.
Gotta go! Turns out, dark magic!
Blood law's pretty wild, guys. Be careful where you get the business card from.
Yeah.
Thank you all. This was super fun. I'm going to end the broadcast now, and hopefully for you at home, if you enjoyed this, we're going to do a lot more of this because apparently this is the future of role-playing. So thanks again, everybody. I'm Chris from Ninth Level. It's Heather from Ninth Level, and Scott and Brian and Corinne, who are super awesome people that have worked with us and are working with us on this project and other projects.
Ninth level adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah.